If you are a recruiter, then using this workflow is going to be an absolute cheat code to save you time and make you more money with your business development. If you haven't heard about Clay, then you've probably been living under a rock, in all honesty. It is an incredible software to automate your process, scale your process, and remove you from doing manual tasks. So what I'm going to show in this video is how to actually run basically MPC campaigns, to find contacts for potential MPC campaigns that you can run without having to manually go over job boards, without having to manually find email addresses, without having to manually actually send any emails, okay? The whole thing is going to be automated. Hopefully this will impress you and show you what Clay can do, right? So what we're going to want to do in today's video is go over and find some jobs, right? So what we're going to do, obviously there's different ways you can do MPC. It doesn't need to be a company that's hiring, but in this case, I'm going to show you a company that is hiring, okay? So what we want to do is obviously search for the type of role that's open. In this example, I'm just going to keep it quite generic and just put a software engineer, right? So let's put software engineer in here, right? So we're going to find companies that are hiring for software engineers. Now, what we typically do is, if you put that into LinkedIn, yeah, you'd get all the results back. But what you then want to do is find the jobs that have a hiring manager or recruiter attached, and obviously use that to pitch a resume or pitch a candidate. So instead of just doing all that manually, I'll show you exactly how we can do that with Clay. So I'm going to put in the location. Oh, I'm just going to put United States, actually. So all of these jobs in United States. And what I'm going to do is, you see here it says recruiter. I'm going to toggle on the fact that these job posts will have a recruiter attached to it. So that means we know who the point of contact is and we can directly message them rather than have to go through the company, find out who the right point of contact is, etc. So if I click preview jobs here, it will show us all of the software engineer jobs open on LinkedIn in the US with a recruiter attached. We've got 2,271. So let's import these into a new table. Continue for free. I've also got some ways, if you're still watching this now, to show you how to not use as many Clay credits because they can be very expensive. Okay, so what we typically want to do here is find the URL, right? So we've got all of this in here. We've got the company that's hiring. We've got the job title. We've got everything like that. We've got the LinkedIn job URL, when it was posted, etc. We've got lots of information. But what we're interested in is the person who's actually hiring for this role. Here it is. So if we add this as a new column, and we'll call it recruiter URL, then boom, right? These are all of the recruiters there that are hiring for these roles. Now, we could just export from here, put it into Dripify and start a sequence going after these contacts. They're all hiring for a software engineer. We can attach a resume, boom. But what you'll notice is that half of these companies are recruitment companies. Half of them are listed twice. So what we're going to want to do is start to clean up this list. So if we click dedupe here, we can get rid of all of the duplicates. Now, you can see there's a lot, right? 1,000. So almost half the list is duplicate companies. So I'm going to remove all of those duplicates, and now we have about 1,200, okay? What you'll see is we still have a lot of recruitment companies in here, okay? So there's a couple ways you can do this. Typically, and this is what everyone else would do, you just enrich to find the type of company it is using LinkedIn industry, and start to remove all of them, okay, if they're listed as a staffing and recruiting company. There's a couple problems with this. Firstly, not all recruitment companies are actually listed as staffing and recruiting companies on LinkedIn. Some are listed as IT consulting, some are just IT companies, right? You get the gist. And secondly, it's just not going to be the most efficient way to do it. You'll be using Clay credits when you don't really need to. So what we're going to do is actually start with keywords. So this is not using any credits. So what we can do is, in this company name column, start to filter. So we can go for company name and make sure it doesn't contain any keywords such as recruit, right? So if it doesn't, we've already removed 19 there, right? So let's add another one, and let's just continue to remove all of these companies that could be recruitment companies. So let's add talent. So if it's got talent in its name, look, we removed about 30 there. Okay, and then another one could be search. Oh, does not contain search. Just another load removed. Okay, does not contain job. Right, another load removed, and let's do hire. You can continue to do this until you've added in all the keywords that you think would take out all the recruitment companies. Okay, so that's all like the basic ones removed. Now, of course, we want to enrich it to remove all the recruitment companies by finding if they are recruitment companies or not through Clay. But just to start, you don't need credits to remove a lot of them. You can just do it based off keywords. And I've still got all of my credits intact, so it hasn't cost me anything. And it's just removed a lot. Okay. So what we can do here is now we can start to actually enrich it. So we can go to add a column. And what I like to do is actually, instead of just go off the how it's listed on LinkedIn, which is inaccurate, I go off Claygen, so an artificial intelligence web scraper. Now, what I do is typically put it to this 4.0 mini, because it's still pretty good. Apparently my API key is invalid, right? So if you connect your API key as well for ChatGPT, then you don't need to use any credits. It'll just go off your API for OpenAI. But the reason I do Claygen instead of just finding the company, what it's listed on LinkedIn, is because this is more accurate. And we can say, go to this website and see if it's a recruitment or staffing company. If, and then return yes or no. Return yes if it's a staffing or recruitment company, or no if not. All right, so we'll just get yes, Y, and ends. Okay, that's probably the best way to do it. And then we'll put in the column. So we'll put in the company domain. Boom. And I'm just going to get this to run for 10 rows. Obviously, once again, using my API key instead of the credits, so it's saving me money. Looks like there's an error with my API key, so that's not working for some reason. It should not happen if you're using your one. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to rerun this with the credits. My API key is maybe invalid, but nonetheless, you should be able to do that if you just get it hooked up. So we start to get the answers back, the data back, whether it's a yes or a no. So if it is a yes, it is a recruitment company, then we can exclude it. If it's no, then we don't need to. So what I'll typically do here is just add a filter to this column and filter out the yeses. So we're only left with the no's if they're not a recruitment company, and then we can go after those recruiters, right? That's pretty much it in the whole process. I'll just show you, I'll just add a filter. Oh, it looks like it's still, looks like the Claygen's still running. So I've got to leave it to finish. But when that's finished, what you should be able to do, in fact, I think it would be this one actually. You can add the filter and put it's equal to N. So it's not a recruitment company. And then we can export this list. We know that they're not recruitment companies. They're all hiring for software engineers, and we can go after those contacts, all without having to scrape job boards manually, find, contact information manually or anything like that. It's got the LinkedIn URL of exactly who we want to speak to, which is awesome. And we can just send them the resume. So yeah, that's the full process of how we would do it and how we would use ChatGPT to help us as well.